Welcome to Immigration Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Canadian experience requirements are not just discriminatory, they harm the economy. Millennials have every right to moan, Chancellor, give them a chance. Foreign workers will need salary of over £30,000 to come to Britain. Trump wins Texas Governor Abbott's endorsement at US-Mexico border. PM could block Human Rights Act to force through Rwanda asylum plan. Canadian experience requirements are not just discriminatory, they harm the economy. The Globe and Mail. A proposal by the Ontario government to ban the requirement for Canadian work experience in job postings will not address discriminatory hiring practices that immigrants face in the country. While job postings may not explicitly mention Canadian experience, the requirement can still be subtly communicated during the hiring process. The perception that immigrant workers may not fit into Canadian workplace culture is a form of discrimination. The requirement for Canadian experience is unique to Canada, and labor market outcomes for immigrants are worse in Canada compared to other countries. Millennials have every right to moan, Chancellor, give them a chance. Telegraph. The UK government must address intergenerational fairness, according to George Freeman, Conservative MP for Mid-Norfolk and chair of the Prime Minister's Policy Board. Freeman said that while it is true that many baby boomers have lower incomes and savings, as well as relying on a struggling National Health Service, many millennials wonder when they will receive similar support. He added that the current government must acknowledge the problem and develop policies to address it. Freeman said that the economic difficulties faced by young people had occurred as a result of structural changes and policy decisions, including the impact of globalization and the decline of manufacturing. He called for better coordination of monetary and fiscal policy, investment, increased house building and reduced immigration. Freeman also called for more technical and vocational education and support for young families. Foreign workers will need salary of over £30,000 to come to Britain. Telegraph. The UK government is expected to set out proposals to reduce net migration by raising the salary threshold for skilled workers. Currently, workers outside shortage occupations need to earn at least £26,200 to take up jobs in the UK, significantly below the median wage of £33,000. The proposal, which has yet to be finalised, comes ahead of net migration data for the year ending June 2023, which is expected to remain at significantly higher levels than pre-Brexit. Net migration hit a record peak of 637,000 in the year ending September 2022, before falling to 606,000 in the year ending December 2022. Trump wins Texas Governor Abbott's endorsement at US-Mexico border. Yahoo! Texas Governor Greg Abbott has endorsed former President Donald Trump for the 2024 election. The endorsement took place at an event near the US-Mexico border, highlighting Trump's plans to crack down on immigration if he wins the election. Trump and other leading Republicans have criticized President Joe Biden's handling of immigration, with Trump pledging to restore his Remain in Mexico program if elected. Abbott has also become a prominent figure on border issues with his Operation Lone Star border security initiative. PM could block Human Rights Act to force through Rwanda asylum plan. The Guardian. UK Chancellor Rishi Sunak is considering blocking the Human Rights Act to give the government the power to send asylum seekers to Rwanda, according to reports. The measure would be part of Prime Minister Boris Johnson's attempt to stop the boats amid the ongoing Channel refugee crisis. The move has garnered significant opposition from many Conservative MPs, however, and could face substantial resistance in Parliament. Trump returns to the US-Mexico border as he lays out a set of hardline immigration proposals. The Toronto Star. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has returned to the U.S.-Mexico border as he promotes a hardline immigration agenda that would be far more expansive than the policies he pursued during his first term as president. Trump served meals to Texas National Guard soldiers, troopers and others who will be stationed at the border over Thanksgiving. He was joined by Republican Governor Greg Abbott, a longtime ally and fellow border hawk who is expected to endorse the frontrunner for the 2024 nomination during the visit. Trump has been laying out immigration proposals that would mark a dramatic escalation of the approach he used in office and that drew alarms from civil rights activists and numerous court challenges. BBC journalist gave evidence in Somali rapist's deportation case. Telegraph. A senior BBC journalist, Mary Harper, has been accused of giving evidence on behalf of a Somali rapist attempting to stay in the UK, as well as a Somali man who committed sexual assault on a deaf teenage girl. Harper has given evidence in at least 7 other immigration cases over the past decade. Yaqub Ahmed, the individual in question, was sentenced to imprisonment in 2008 for attacking a teenage girl in London. Is Rishi Sunak's Rwanda plan finally dead, or merely resting? The Independent. Rishi Sunak is facing embarrassment after his deportation plan to Rwanda was rejected by the Supreme Court. The judges ruled that Rwanda is not a safe country, causing the usually composed Tory leader to become despondent. However, Sunak has since adopted a defiant tone, vowing to do whatever is necessary to implement his plan. The hidden hero fueling soft landing hopes, a boost in supply. Wall Street Journal. U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has suggested that the U.S. economy's speed limit, also known as potential growth, has temporarily increased. This is due to a reduction in bottlenecks, an increase in available workers, and potentially higher productivity. Powell's comments are significant because they indicate that stronger growth is no longer likely to result in higher prices. In the workhorse models used by most economists, including the Fed, growth that consistently exceeds the long-run trend of around 2% is expected to lead to lower unemployment and inflation pressures. However, Powell has said that the U.S. economy now needs to grow below potential. Powell has stated that the U.S. economy should grow 2% over the long run, but an increase in immigration and workforce participation rates, along with easing supply bottlenecks, has raised the short-term speed limit for growth. Powell's comments are an attempt to explain why inflation could decrease without a significant increase in unemployment. Brexit has boosted UK wages, say economist. Telegraph. Brexit has contributed to a boost in wage growth in the UK, according to economists. The crackdown on uncontrolled immigration from the EU has forced employers to pay higher wages for low-skilled roles previously filled by Europeans, leading to increased bargaining power for UK-based employees. The labor market is undergoing a structural change that is driving up wages, with reduced supply due to Brexit creating an imbalance that continues to fuel wage growth. Other factors contributing to strong wage growth include early retirement and an increase in long-term sickness following the COVID-19 pandemic. How to retire to Thailand and navigate its tricky expat property rules. Telegraph. Thailand is an attractive retirement destination for those seeking a warm climate, affordable cost of living, and rich culture. Some popular retirement locations include Bangkok, Phuket, and Chiang Mai. However, retiring in Thailand is not always straightforward, and it is important to make appropriate financial arrangements before relocating. To retire in Thailand, you must have an annual pension or stable passive income of at least $80,000 a year. If your income is less than this, but more than $40,000, you may qualify if you invest at least $250,000 in Thai property, government bonds, or foreign direct investment. If you have a British pension, it will be taxed in the UK when you withdraw money from it. However, you can use a qualifying recognized overseas pension scheme, CROPS, to move your pension outside the UK and have Thai tax applied. Thailand is not a low-tax jurisdiction, and there have been recent tax changes regarding remittances. The tax residency applies if someone is in the country for over 180 days in a tax year. China's neighbors are wooing American CEOs. The CEOs are listening. Yahoo! China's neighbors are trying to attract U.S. CEOs who are more open to manufacturing their goods in other parts of Southeast Asia, according to Yahoo Finance. The country's Asian rivals sought to woo American business leaders at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation (APEC) summit in San Francisco, where President Xi Jinping tried to make his case for why the U.S. business world should keep its money invested in China. American companies have been looking to diversify their supply chains beyond China due to the U.S.-China trade war, and the COVID-19 pandemic accelerated these discussions. More firms are now considering such moves due to geopolitical uncertainty and opaqueness around the Chinese economy. Tech manufacturing and the transition to clean energy offer the biggest opportunities for businesses that want to seek out opportunities in Asian countries outside of China. This has already started to happen in India, which has emerged as an alternative to China for companies such as Tesla and Apple. Jeremy Hunt insists phenomenal Sunak will save failed Rwanda plan. The Independent. UK Chancellor Jeremy Hunt has said the sacked Home Secretary Sala Braverman is among the right-wingers pushing to withdraw from the European Convention of Human Rights, ECHR, after the Supreme Court rejected the plan to put asylum seekers on one-way flights to Rwanda. Mr. Hunt insisted the government did not want to quit the ECHR and claimed Rishi Sunak would succeed in getting the flights going and stopping the boats by next year. Stamping King Charles on our money is out of sync with the current Canadian sensibility. Currency and Monarchy, plus other letters to the editor for November 19. The Globe and Mail. The Globe and Mail recently published a series of letters from readers discussing various issues related to carbon pricing, government growth, immigration, and more. One reader argued that permit trading, rather than carbon taxes, is the key to reducing carbon emissions. The reader stated that permit trading provides emitters with strong incentives to make reductions at a lower cost. Another reader criticized the poor communication regarding carbon rebates, stating that many people are unaware of the rebates and the purpose behind them. The reader called for better communication on the issue. Another reader argued that immigration should focus more on improving the lives of others rather than strictly considering what immigrants can do for the country. The reader stated that giving preferential treatment to entrepreneurs and skilled workers is a net loss for the countries these individuals come from. The other letters discussed government growth, the use of King Charles on Canadian currency, and more. Black box, police secretly lobby Canberra to bypass criminal justice system. The Sydney Morning Herald. Police forces in Australia have been lobbying the federal government to deport non-citizens based on suspected crimes that have not been proven in court. Non-citizens' visas are cancelled if they are sentenced to more than 12 months in prison, meaning they must pass a character test to remain in Australia. More than 90% of people in immigration detention have completed prison sentences and are held while they fight deportation. Police in New South Wales, NSW, and Victoria have written to the immigration minister or department, pointing to suspected or alleged crimes outside the judicial process in an attempt to influence the deportation process. Legal experts argue that this undermines the presumption of innocence and allows police to use deportations as an alternative to securing convictions. The revelation comes as the government's immigration detention system is in crisis following a recent High Court ruling. In response, the government imposed new conditions on released detainees, such as ankle bracelets and criminal sanctions for visa breaches. Hello, my fellow interdimensional beings. It's your favorite observer from the sixth dimension, Dr. Six, here to bring you the latest and greatest news from across the multiverse. Today, we've got a wide range of stories, from immigration policies to retirement destinations, and even some unexpected lobbying tactics. So, grab your quantum popcorn and let's dive in. First off, let's talk about the Canadian experience requirements and the harm they cause to the economy. It's clear that discriminatory hiring practices are not just unfair, but they also negatively impact the economy by limiting the talent pool. As for the UK, it seems that the intergenerational fairness debate is heating up, with calls for better policies to support young people. And speaking of the UK, there's some controversy around the proposed salary threshold for skilled workers coming to Britain. It's a complex issue, and the implications for net migration are significant. Now, onto the US-Mexico border, where former President Donald Trump is making waves with his hardline immigration proposals. It seems like immigration remains a contentious issue, even after his time in office. And across the pond, in the UK, there's some drama around the government's plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda, with legal battles and Supreme Court rulings causing quite the stir. But it's not all politics and immigration, there's some economic news too. The U.S. Federal Reserve Chair's comments about the U.S. economy's potential growth and the impact of immigration and supply bottlenecks are definitely worth pondering. And let's not forget about the impact of Brexit on UK wages, which seems to have sparked a shift in the labor market, leading to higher wages. Lastly, we have some unexpected stories, like the BBC journalist's involvement in immigration cases and the efforts of China's neighbors to woo American CEOs. It's a wild world out there, and these stories just scratch the surface. So, what do you make of all this, dear audience? Do you think immigration policies need a major overhaul? Are you considering retiring to Thailand or navigating those expat property rules? Or maybe you have some thoughts on the global economic impacts of immigration and policy decisions. Let's open the floor to discussion. What's on your mind? Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the infinite possibilities of the multiverse. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.